Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. I was a little curious. I didn't know what I was going to talk about today, and then I got an email from a patient, and she brought up some very good and very valid questions. And I started to respond to the email by typing it, and I realized it was kind of a very long-winded answer. So, and I feel like I should share this with everybody. So I'm going to read you the email that I had, the question that I received from the patient. I'm going to keep her totally anonymous, but I credit her with taking on the challenge of thinking for herself in some of these pretty critical issues in life. And so I'm going to read the email, and then I want to go ahead and give my video response. Okay, so the patient asked me basically, she said, in case I don't get a chance to ask you tomorrow, I've been thinking about vaccines. It's a big topic in my microbiology class in college this semester, and I've been trying to understand and to form an opinion about it for myself, but I'm still riding the fence. Because it seems logical to give oneself a milder form of whatever of a disease to give yourself immunity. Back in the day, like with smallpox, they would rub the pus or the crust of the pox and rub it on someone to make them immune. Or they'd use the cowpox or what have you. And I'm sure, and she states that she's sure that I know about the beginning of vaccines. And to me, this seems logical. So is it just because they put all sorts of other things into the vaccines nowadays, and that's why they're bad? I mean, are there vaccines that are pure per se and don't have any preservatives or anything like that? People make you feel bad if you don't get vaccinated because you're endangering them. Anyways, I'm trying to figure it all out because I guess it's with anything. You ask one side and they say they're right, and you ask the other side and they say they're right. So I don't know what to think. Thanks for any info you've got. So this is a very valid situation and a very valid question. And again, I credit this patient with entering the world of thinking for herself. One of the challenges that I've always found as a chiropractic physician and as someone, I always question things. And it puts you into a unique group of people. Most people don't tend to question what they read or what they hear on TV or the facts that are put out there. They accept them as reality. And there are some things I used to accept as reality. And as I've gotten more mature and realized the people's intentions and the people's agendas behind information that's put out there, I've gotten to where I question absolutely everything. First of all, I agree with this patient. I agree that giving a mild dose of something for the body to develop the antibodies to defend itself against an invading virus or something, it is a good theory. For example, if you've got a cold and you can expose yourself a little bit to that cold and then have your body's immune system build itself up and build the antibodies to it, then it would keep you from getting a severe form of the cold. And that is the theory that's behind vaccines, and it does make sense. The challenge with it is, number one, vaccines are a huge industry, and don't ever let anybody tell you different. It's a huge industry. There's so much money in vaccines. There was so much money in the swine flu. There was so much money in the bird flu. There is so much financial gain from all these different conditions out there that they're trying to vaccinate against. Chickenpox. Chickenpox is a childhood disease. It's a disease that makes your immune system stronger. When a child gets the chickenpox, the body overcomes it, develops antibodies, the body's immune system gets stronger because of it. There is no reason to vaccinate against chickenpox. Yes, sometimes it can turn fatal. Anything can turn fatal in a suppressed immune system. Sometimes it does happen, but that doesn't mean that we need to bombard our body with chemicals to try to ward off these illnesses. One of the main problems that we have in our society is that we're so hell-bent on not experiencing symptoms. If you have a cold and you get the sniffles, you take something to get rid of the sniffles. If you have a headache, you take something to get rid of the headache. If you have a fever, heaven forbid you get a fever, you take something to suppress your fever. Our health system, our sick care system, is designed to suppress symptoms, and that creates two problems. Number one, it creates the problem of, hey, we're just going to do whatever we want to with our lives and not worry about it, because as soon as we have some kind of a negative effect to it, such as diabetes or whatever, then we'll take some medication that's going to try to suppress those symptoms and we'll live until we die. So it puts us in a situation of giving up the responsibility for our life because we feel like, hey, there's going to be something that's going to fix us if we screw ourselves up too bad. But the second problem that it gives, and this is in my opinion probably a bigger problem, is it teaches us that our body is wrong. It teaches us that if we get a flu and we get achy and we need to rest and we have a fever, it teaches us that that's wrong. We need to suppress all these symptoms. We need to get rid of that fever. We need to get rid of the achiness. Take the Tylenol, take this, take that. We got to get back up and get going. Sometimes your body needs the rest. The fever is what beats stuff. The mucus is what gets things and protects your intestinal linings. The mucus lines your nasal passages to keep things from going in. When you have a runny nose, it's kicking stuff out. And think about it. God put your nose above your mouth. Sometimes that mucus can get into your mouth. So then you have these antibodies, and your body is developing it from the GI tract as well as from the immune system and from the nasal tract. The body is brilliant. The body is able to defend itself. And to start going out here and defending against chickenpox and defending against, all these childhood diseases that may be uncomfortable and may not be pleasant, but that make us stronger in the end, is a mistake. It's a mistake. If you get chickenpox when you're older, you go sterile. If you don't think that nature is stupid, nature will start coming up with a new chickenpox that will outlast these vaccines and get stronger and get stronger. So this is my first problem, is that it's telling us, we're being taught that our body is wrong, and we're vaccinating against things that, you don't even need to vaccinate against. The other problem that I have is, yes, there are tons of chemicals in these vaccines. There are, mercury was a huge problem, and they denied it to the end. But it's kind of weird how finally, now that enough of a stink has been made by enough patients and enough people who actually think for themselves, that they've started pulling mercury out of the vaccines. But now they've got new preservatives and new things in there that are causing a problem. So, there's just a lot of negative downsides with vaccines, and we don't know what the effect is on our society. For example, with the swine flu last year, there was absolutely no studying done on these vaccines, and they were given to the masses. We had our children going in there and taking these vaccinations that no studies had been done on. We didn't know what the safety of them was. And the epidemic turned out to be nothing. And even the people that did get it, it was, some people did die from it, and those are sad and tragic stories, but people die every day from taking non-steroid anti-inflammatories. People die every day from crossing the street. People walk down the stairs and break a hip and they die. Things happen and people pass away. And those stories are always emotional and they're always sad, and heaven forbid, God, don't let it happen to me or my kids or anybody that I know. Please don't let it ever happen. But these things happen, and they use these stories to invoke fear in everybody. And that we go into these mass vaccinations and we don't know what these effects are on the human body. We don't know what they are on society. We don't know what they are on the species of the human biology itself. Just look at what's been happening. Our health is deteriorating. We're living longer, but our health is deteriorating. We have more kids now with autism than 10 years ago. I mean, the numbers, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm sure they've close to doubled in just 10 years. There's something that we're doing that's wrong. There is something that is wrong. And our philosophy and our thought of fixing everything with a pill or preventing everything with the pill, because really that's what vaccines are. It's like maintenance or wellness. It's like prevention, but it's a medical version of prevention. And that, you're injecting chemicals into your body. Even worse, you're injecting them into the bodies of your children. So that's my opinion. My thought on it is, yes, the theory makes sense. And, if there's somebody with chickenpox, take your kids to a chickenpox party, in my opinion. Let them get exposed to it and let them get it and let their immune systems learn how to freaking fight for themselves. We're so sterile in this country because we're so scared of the germs that our immune systems are weaker and weaker and weaker. And, do these things. Homeopathy, that's the theory behind homeopathy. If you're having a fever response, a homeopathic physician is going to give you a homeopathic level of that thing that's causing the fever to allow your body to defend itself. These are not new theories, but the medical profession takes it and they expand with it, and they try to make it, they try to find an active ingredient, or they find something or some way to manipulate it, and they turn it into a chemical that is foreign to our body. And that's where we start getting dangerous. Our bodies are very, 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 very smart, incredibly intelligent. Nature, our body is in resonance with nature. Our body is designed to survive in nature. There are times when our body is giving in to nature. Yes, use medications, use whatever you can. But vaccines, in my opinion, are an assault on the body in a situation that's not necessary. Now, with that being said, if there was an outbreak of something that was honestly, like you see in the movies, some virus that was killing millions of people, and there was no defense for it, and they found a vaccine that they said, hey, this might work, and it's like you take that or you die, I might line up and let my kids take it and take it for myself. But we're not in that situation, and that's kind of the fear that they create when they do these marketing campaigns and when they do this whole H1N1 thing and when they do all this stuff. That's the fear that they're creating. Last year, less people died. The average year, 30,000 people a year died from the flu or flu complications. Last year, only 18,000 people died from the flu. 18,000 people during this epidemic where everybody had to rush out and get this flu virus, our flu vaccine. So anyway, I'm sorry, soapbox. But let me say this. Obviously, I've expressed my opinion, and I apologize for rambling. But let me say this. I feel that it's irresponsible for me to say to you what the right answer is. That's absolutely not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is to encourage you, and I think that this is the right thing for the medical profession to do. I think it's the right thing for anybody who offers any kind of criticism to you for making any choice on your own. She wrote it here, people make you feel bad because you're endangering them. You know what? Let people do their research. If you do your research and you come to the conclusion that you need to vaccinate, then by all means do it. If you do your research and you come to the conclusion that you don't need to vaccinate, then don't vaccinate. It's always a personal preference, and it should always be a personal choice. And I find that the people that are most opinionated about it and that are most definitive in saying you need to do this are the ones that have not done the research, have not thought for themselves. They're just following the information that's being put out there. So when I say these things to you, these are my opinion, and they're my opinion today. And I've done a ton of research. Kelly and I have struggled every child, every year, with vaccines, with should we do it, should we not, are we making the right choices? It's not ever a clear-cut decision, but we always go back to what we research and what our heart says. And that's what you need to do. You need to do your research. You need to learn for yourself from both sides. There is no good and bad side. I think everybody here, well, at least I like to hope, everybody here has good intentions. I think there's some monetary intentions on the side of pro-vaccine, but I think that in general, there are good intentions on both sides. So you need to do your research, you need to hear both sides of the story, and then do what feels right to you. That's what thinking for yourself is, and that's how you make a decision for that. And nobody can answer those questions for you. I'll be glad to answer any questions that anybody has about, what I've come to at this point. But this is with anything. This is with vaccines, this is with medications, this is with chiropractic. I had a patient the other day that was telling me that I had fixed a problem with her that she'd gone to an orthopedist for, and they were going to do surgery, and I fixed it in one treatment. And she was telling her nurse friends about it, and they all laughed at her because she went to the chiropractor. Why would you laugh at somebody who just avoided surgery and fixed a problem that had been there for years, then fixed it in one visit? Why would you laugh at them because you don't agree with chiropractic? In my opinion, and I'm sorry for this, but I'm going to say it, in my opinion, that is just flat out stupid. I mean, come on, you gotta, just because you don't agree with something, don't be so opinionated. Don't go and tell people that they're idiots for doing something that you don't agree with. If you come in and tell me you got your children vaccinated, more power to you. I'm glad you did it. I hope you did the research, and pray to God everybody's going to be healthy, just like I pray to God that my kids will be healthy by not vaccinating. Just please think for yourself. Please don't push your opinions on other people. Just encourage them to think for themselves. Ask me any questions that you can. I'll give you as many answers as I can. Ask, and we're in the world of information, so just get out there and learn and make the decision that feels right to you. And that's the best that you can do for yourself. I hope that makes sense, and I'm sorry this is a very long video, but anyway, as always, my hope for you is that you take control of your health before your health takes control of you. And everybody have a great day. Bye-bye.